All right, ready to dive deep into the world of the UK skilled worker visa.
Let's do it.
Whether you're seriously thinking about making the move or just curious about how it all works,
hmm
we've got you.
Yeah, we've gone through all those official
Oh,
documents,
have we?
so you don't have to. Consider this your shortcut to understanding the UK skilled worker visa.
Yeah, and one of the things that really struck me when I was going through all of this is that this isn't just like a little temporary thing.
Right.
We're talking about potentially living and working in the UK for up to 5 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah, that's enough time to really put down roots, build a life, and potentially even set yourself up for something more permanent, like indefinite leave to remain, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. It really is a significant opportunity for the right people. This visa actually replaced the old Tier 2 general visa,
Okay.
and it represents a real shift in focus. They're trying to attract skilled individuals who can contribute to the UK's economy over the long term.
So filling those roles that needs specialized knowledge, expertise, that kind of thing.
Exactly. It's not just about filling any job. It's about finding the right people for the jobs that really need them.
Okay, so attracting skilled workers, that's the goal. But let's get down to the nitty-gritty. What are the absolute basics? What does someone need just to be considered for this visa?
Okay, so first and foremost, you can't just hop on a plane with a dream and hope for the best.
Right.
You're going to need a genuine job offer from a UK employer. And not just any employer. They need to be approved by the Home Office. They essentially become your sponsor, vouching for you and saying, yes, we need this person, and their skills are valuable to us.
So it's like they're putting their neck out saying, we believe in this person.
Exactly. And on top of that, you'll need to show that you have a good grasp of English.
Yeah, communication is key. But how good does your English actually need to be? Are we talking like Shakespeare level fluency here?
You don't need to be writing sonnets, but you do need to be able to communicate effectively. The UK government has a system of secure English language tests.
Okay.
There are a few different ones you can take, and each has its own minimum score requirements, which can vary a bit depending on your situation.
Got it. So you've got to prove your English skills, and you need that solid job offer from an approved employer check and check. But what about the job itself? Are there any limitations there?
You're on the right track. It's not just any job that qualifies you for this visa. There's a specific list of what they call eligible occupations.
Okay.
And you might think, oh, I'll just check if my job title's on the list. But it's a bit more complicated than that. See, the UK government uses a system of occupation codes.
Occupation codes. Ooh, sounds intriguing.
Yeah. These codes get very specific about the roles that qualify.
Okay, this is starting to feel a bit like a spy thriller. I am hooked. Tell me more about these occupation codes.
All right, so imagine this.
Occupation codes, it's like some kind of secret language. So let's say I'm sitting here daydreaming about working in the UK. How do I find out if my dream job is even on this, VIP list?
Okay, so you've got to find the secret password.
Okay.
And it's not just about wanting to work in the UK, right? Your skills need to be in demand. They've got this whole system.
Yeah, walk me through it.
So picture this.
Yeah.
Each profession on their list has this unique 4-digit code.
Okay.
It's very specific.
Right.
And that code is like your golden ticket. It's how you figure out if your skills are eligible for this visa.
So where do I find this magical list of codes? What do I Google?
You're in luck. They've got this free online tool. It's called Cascot.
Catchy.
Yeah, it stands for Code of Practice for Skilled Workers.
Okay.
It's basically a search engine for jobs. You plug in your job title, see if it matches up with one of these eligible occupation codes.
Gotcha, but I imagine there are some nuances there.
Oh, absolutely. It's very detailed.
And speaking of details, you mentioned earlier that it's not just about the job title. There's also this thing called the going rate we need to talk about. What is that all about?
Right, because you need to be paid properly. Right.
Of course.
It's all about making sure that you're not being underpaid and that the UK job market stays fair for everyone. So each occupation on that list, they have a minimum salary requirement. That's the going rate.
So it protects UK workers and those coming in on the visa.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. But how on earth do you find out the going rate for your specific job?
No secret code books this time. The UK government actually publishes this big detailed table. It lists the going rate for each of those occupation codes.
That's handy.
So your potential employer would use this table to make sure they're offering you a fair wage.
Okay.
And you as the applicant can use it to double check.
So to recap, first you got to see if your occupation is even on the list. Then find this magic 4-digit code. and then make sure the salary being offered is at least that going rate.
Yep.
Quite the process.
It is, but there's a good reason for it, right?
Yeah.
It's about making sure that the system works for everyone involved.
Mm.
They want to attract genuinely skilled people who can contribute to the UK economy.
Right. It's not just about jumping through hoops. It's about making sure the system is fair. Okay, so let's say I've done my research, found the magical occupation code, and I've even got a job offer. Are we good to go? Book the flight.
Hold your horses. We still need to talk about the financial side of it.
Visas aren't free.
Exactly. It's an investment in your future in the UK. And what about your family? Are you bringing a partner? Kids? They've got their own requirements.
Right. Life is rarely a solo mission. Okay, so let's break down those costs. I imagine the UK government wants to make sure you can actually afford to live there, and that's fair.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about costs. Moving countries isn't cheap, and I'm guessing this visa comes with a fee.
It does. Think of it as an investment.
Mm-hmm.
You'll need to pay an application fee, and it can actually vary a bit. It all depends on your circumstances. And then there's also the healthcare surcharge.
Healthcare surcharge. That sounds intense. What is that?
So it's actually pretty straightforward. It's how you access the National Health Service, or NHS as it's known.
Mm.
It's essential medical care, and the surcharge helps to cover the costs.
So it's like everyone contributes.
Right. It's how they make sure the system is fair for everyone, including folks coming in on visas.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we've got the visa application, the healthcare surcharge, but you also need to prove that you can support yourself.
Exactly. You need to show that you have enough money to cover your living expenses,
Right.
at least for that initial period when you arrive in the UK.
Makes sense.
It's about reassuring the government that you won't be a burden financially.
You're there to contribute. Okay, so what about if you have a partner, maybe kids, who want to come with you? Is there some kind of like family visa package?
It would be nice, but unfortunately, no. Each family member needs their own visa.
So that's a separate application for each person.
Yep, separate fees, and they also need to meet financial requirements.
Wow, okay. Things to consider.
Definitely. And it's important to remember those dependent visas are linked to your visa.
Right.
If something happens and your visa is no longer valid, theirs are affected too.
Okay, it's linked together. Gotcha. Well, we've covered so much today. We talked about those occupation codes, the salary requirements, even those dependent visas. It's a lot. Any final advice for our listeners?
Do your research. Be organized, and it's okay to get some help. Don't be afraid to talk to an expert. These rules can get pretty complex.
Definitely sound advice. And remember, this has been a great overview, but things change, so always double check those government websites for the latest information. Wouldn't want to rely on something that's out of date.
Exactly. Always good to be up to date.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the UK skilled worker visa. We hope you feel a little bit more prepared to start your journey.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure.
And until next time, happy exploring. We'll see you in the next deep dive.